Hello, Sherix Broadcast Network viewers all over the world. We want to say Kabotona all, of course, wherever you are around the globe. Today, na a special broadcast where we'll get for bring Cantona today from our studio number 8, based in Houston, Texas. And of course, this broadcast is going to be a reflection on everything we happened in Sierra Leone in the past year. So it's going to be a reflective broadcast where we'll get for do today to remind ourselves about some of the most important events that will take place in Sierra Leone in the past year or in the past couple of years, starting from how we Sherix Broadcast Network been start. How we don't do in the past years, watching at some of the stories them we will cover in the past year, and for tell God Almighty plenty thank you for we make them possible for let we able to go through all the years them we don't pass. Of course, we don't go through several years now where we broadcast both on radio and television, and so we continue for tell and plenty thank you for we keep we alive, make we see, make we able for experience and go through all of life experiences in the past year. And so this could be a very good historical lesson for we all today. We come up from Sierra Leone, and because Salone people then quickly sometimes we can easily forget about most of the important things that we cannot happen now in lives. We can easily forget. But thank God we get systems like this where they remind we and where we go keep on our archives. So you remember one doctor we been sacrificed in life where during the Ebola crisis when I been Dr. Martin Mada Salia. He began for sacrifice in life a go to Sierra Leone during the Ebola crisis for go help with the disease. And when I know say began for contract that disease, they after we don't have plenty people there. After we don't have plenty people there, it began for contract the disease, then bring in sick body, come to United States, but it not be able for make them, it not be able for survive. But whilst he been there alive, late Dr. Martin Mada Salia began for say something way very motivating to me, very inspiring to me particularly. And that was, he been talk say, as a Sierra Leonean, whichever corner where you find yourself, waiting you to do na that corner day for able for brighten that corner day, for able for make Sierra Leone prosper and make progress inside that your own corner day. Waiting you to do na your own corner for help Salongo before. So I think say that's gonna be a very important talk that one day where it been talk. Because if you're not doctor, waiting they do na your doctor corner for able for brighten that corner day. If you're not nurse, you're not teacher, you're not lawyer, you're not judge, you're not politician, you're not minister in government, you're not head of agency, you're not director of parastatal in Sierra Leone, you're not carpenter, you're not Okada rider, you're not petty trader, you're not student. Anything where you do in Sierra Leone, now you own small corner that one day. Waiting you they do na that corner they for able for brighten that corner. So that is exactly what we are going to talk about here today. So the broadcast get for be a little different today. Today the broadcast is going to be in English, but most of the videos that own at the sea go there inside Creole. But I am going to be like doing a little documentary here. So we ask that you stick around as we continue for the programs to you. Stick around with us.
He was really talented. He's a doctor with a difference. Yes, it's going to take some time to bring the hospital back to its glorious days. It's going to take some time.
Oh, the late Dr. Martin Salia, may his soul rest in perfect peace. He had passion for the job. He wanted this hospital to be the best in this country. He wanted to be see this hospital as the center of excellence in this country.
We need to check each and every individual, what you are doing. What are you offering in your own small corner that you could brighten that corner? How are you contributing in one way or the other to promote this place?
He is the kind of person, even a porter that is working in his office, sometimes he will tell the porter, go and bring me the broom today, I'm going to sweep.
But if the public didn't appreciate that whenever somebody has this kind of presentation, they should come. Because don't forget, by the time you have one contracting the disease, people are going to take care of a dead. Avoiding, hiding, taking care of that dead. Don't forget, by the time people are dead with the Ebola, they are more infectious than all. So if they take care of their burial or their own, 10 more will be infected.
Definitely, ladies and gentlemen, we remember those two national heroes today. We remember them for sacrificing their lives for our country, and of course for ensuring that they did whatever they could do at a moment when Sierra Leone needed them. They did everything they could do. So Doctors Martin Salia and of course Dr. Umaru Khan, both of whom helped more than 100 Ebola patients in Sierra Leone during the height of the Ebola crisis, but they could not survive the disease. So we remember them this day that we are now about to move into the new year. Of course, already Sierra Leone has moved into the new year, and so we are about to move into the new year. We remember them on this day that they were able to sacrifice. But the main point is, when we had that conversation from Dr. Martin Salia, saying that what are you doing in your own small corner? Whatever corner you find yourself in, what are you doing in that corner to brighten that corner? What are you doing in that corner? So I think, to me and to every Sierra Leonean, we should take that as a very important, very important question that all of us should resolve. Whilst you are making that New Year resolution, you should make this as one of your resolutions, that you are going into this new year with a resolution that is aimed at answering late Dr. Martin Salia's question. What are you doing in your own small corner to brighten that corner? Whatever corner you find yourself in, what are you doing in that corner? All right? And so this is our own corner right here at Sherix Broadcast Network, and this is what we're doing to brighten this corner. And so we're hoping that with the blessing of God, with the guidance and protection of the Almighty, that we will get even better. And everything we are doing it to, to help humanity, to provide information to Sierra Leoneans, so that it doesn't matter where you are around the world. Wherever you are very close to your country. So this is our own small corner, and this is what we do in this corner. All right?
I'm Atlan Finney, your SBN News anchor. In our program today, we will be giving an exclusive interview to the founder and director of Sherix Broadcasting Network about the network. And I ask that you bear with me for potential mistakes or errors I may make throughout this interview, as this is all new to me. though I like what I do here. But anyway, this interview is intended to shed light on many of the questions that viewers out there ask us about the station. And who else can be in a better position to answer those questions other than the man who founded the station? And so, I would like to welcome Mr. Ibrahim Sherix into the studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Headline Finney. Of course, it's a pleasure to be here to answer some of the questions that people have been asking. And so hopefully I will have answers to all of those questions. So I'm really happy to be here.
Okay. We're going to go straight to the point. What inspired you to think about the idea of Sherix Broadcasting Network?
Well, first of all, I was inspired by the academic qualifications that I have. You know, I have a bachelor's degree in information technology with a concentration in technology management, and then a master's degree in networks and communications management. And so when I was finishing my master's degree, I was thinking about what am I going to do for my community. You know, I know I'm going to be working for Uncle Sam, I'm going to be working for the United States, but what am I going to do specifically for my community, you know, the African community from which I am? And so at first I thought about starting a radio station. And so I started a radio station that went viral. You know, about 12,000 people were clicking into the station every day from around the world. So we established that in 2013, June 8, 2013 to be very precise. And so since that time, the station was doing very well. Broadcasting news, information, education, and entertainment. And so there was a link on our website on that radio station where, you know, most of our viewers went and they sent us comments, they sent us suggestions, and most of the suggestions they were sending us was about asking us to start an online television. And so I promised them that definitely I was thinking about it. And so at the end of 2015, I finally made up my mind that by the start of 2016, we were going to start an online television. And thank God, you know, I want to say a lot of thanks to the Almighty God for making it possible for me to make that dream a reality. And of course, now that Ms. Finney is here helping me out with all of it, I think it's a blessing. You know, it's a blessing because she is doing it and she's one of my critiques. She's just helping out with everything. So I am delighted that she is here.
As you and I know, TV broadcasting requires a lot of time, focus, concentration, energy, and other resources such as money. How confident are you that you will not get tired of all of it?
Well, you know, definitely I will not get tired of it because, you see, it's about passion. This is my passion. This is something that I love to do. I mean, can you imagine when I'm at work doing my job, you know, I'm talking about my regular job. When I take a lunch break, all I'm thinking about is this network. My friends that I call, all the friends that I have, we talk about this network. Either they help me with information, they send me news items, they call me, oh, Sherif, do you know what has happened? We have this for you. Let me send you the video right now. Let me send you the picture right now. So it is really my passion. And anything that you are passionate about, you will not get tired of it. And so I don't think that it will ever occur in my life for me to get tired of what I'm doing. And so talking about the money part, that is something that we are working on. But of course, if it is for money, I will not be able to do what I'm doing right now. I mean, can you tell me, ladies and gentlemen watching, that I will be able to pay this beautiful lady out here? I will not. I don't even have the money. I mean, I don't have the money. I cannot even buy a single thing that she can wear. But you know what? It's not about money. She is here with me. We are doing this together. It's about promoting causes for our country, for Sierra Leone, for Africa, positive things. And so our passion is letting us do this. And once it is about our passion, I don't think we'll ever get tired of it.
Are you currently making money out of this or not?
Definitely we are not making money out of this at all right now. We are not making money out of this. We are spending our own money. Nobody is paying us. We are not asking anybody to pay us or to even advertise with us. But We'll come to that point, because the thing about us, we want to be professional. We're going to start professionally and we're going to end professionally. And once we get to that point...
Hello everyone, I am Atlan Finney again, and I am here to introduce you to some...
All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is Atlan, Iyamide Atlan Finney and I work together to actually bring this whole thing to you guys. And of course, we are just very delighted to be doing something like this. And, on a day like this, which is New Year's Eve, of course, a lot of our people around the globe are now in the new year. Sierra Leone, you guys are in the new year. We just wanted to take a reflection on the things that we've been doing for our community. The broadcast we've been providing, on air, and of course, from the radio station to the television station, and how much comments we've been receiving. And we have not just been broadcasting anything. We have been taking up, issues that are very important to Sierra Leone as a country. And that is just what we've been doing,
Hello everyone, I am Atlan Finney again, and I am here to introduce you to something you probably know about, but which has grave consequences on Sierra Leone's future. And we are talking about prostitution among girls in Sierra Leone. It is unfortunate that instead of bringing you broadcast topics that uplift your souls and motivations, we are forced to bring you stories of this nation. This is because these stories are real and true. We are deeply touched by the individual stories we hear and read from various Sierra Leoneans girls, some of whom started giving up their bodies to men at the age of 14 or less. Please follow these stories.
My name is Sarah Mansari. I have 3 brothers, 5 sisters. I'm 18 years of age. Well, I'm in go school, but in class 4 I stopped because of my daddy died. I don't get whether they help me. So I decided for I left school because my mama no get. I really suffer. I don't mean get a determination force for go land work. Even I decided yes, do prostitute life, man them pay me before I survive with my parents. At the good club, at the man in the camp to me, pay me money, get sex with me. Yes. Because I don't get choice. I don't get choice for doing anything. I was 14 years when I joined prostitution. Said my friend advised me, say like okay, take like go learn something. From the 10 hours ago, I'm 8 months now. My boss they teach me, but really yes, still my boss they teach me at the sabi. But I know you forget money like the way I get money in a state. So still, I didn't they address me, then they learn me. But I know they get personally they come to me for camp.
Hello everyone, I am Atlan Finney again, and I am here to introduce.
So I can tell you guys that Atlan became really passionate about what we do here at Sherix Broadcast Network when she started seeing this type of stories coming from Sierra Leone, a country where she was born. And of course, she left that country herself as a young girl, and she was a teenager, and thinking about the fact that young girls at the age of 14 go through this kind of thing. They give their bodies to men, and at the end of the day, for money, and that the girls' parents accept these monies when they bring these monies home to them. Even though the prevailing circumstances in the country are really very appalling, but sending your girl child to go on the street and do prostitution, you know, in order to bring money so you guys can live on that money. That is something I just cannot understand. So Headline became very passionate about working with me on stories of this nature. Of course, one area she never wanted to go was politics. She didn't want to talk about politics, but she wanted to, you know, either read the news or, you know, do special programs like this ones, you know. So it was just like a real good match, you know, because of our interest. My interest came together with regards to what we can do for Sierra Leone. So really appreciate it.
For everyone, it is appalling that we hear such stories from our girls in Sierra Leone. The question that remains is, what are authorities doing to stop this very dangerous act? Indeed, as you heard, there are serious consequences associated with prostitution at all levels, especially in places like Sierra Leone, where there is lawlessness and disease. Sometimes last year, we witnessed the brutal killing of Hannah, who was raped and murdered in Sierra Leone. We have heard of other similar incidents in these provinces. When will it stop? When will the craziness stop? That is the question we will be putting to various Sierra Leoneans in the coming weeks ahead.
You know, that is exactly the question that we have continued to ask, you know, anybody that we are able to find, you know, that is in position of authority in Sierra Leone, somebody that we can talk to answer these questions. And of course, this broadcast that you just saw Headline was doing, this was way back in 2015 or 2016, I can say. And up to this day, the same things that we've been broadcasting about is still going on. I mean, quite recently, we have seen how the First Lady has, you know, raised the issue, raised awareness on the issue to a whole new level. And so this is something that we have been doing as well. And so hopefully, as we go into the new year, that those who are in position of authority, especially the Ministry of Social Welfare and other, you know, departments and agencies in Sierra Leone that deal with social issues of this nature, that they should work with the First Lady for them to be able to come up with solutions regarding events of this nature, you know. And so that was just something that caught our eyes at that moment. You know, as things were going on, we thought that it was necessary to cover stories like that.
We fumbled them. You listen to Sherix Webradio live from our second studio based in Houston, Texas. Of course, this now a special edition where we bring to una today. This edition, but the constitutional issues then where the Salon government don't they create in the past several days. We don't involve all Salon people them all over the world. And see, we all know say the president, His Excellency Dr. Anes Bai Kroma, don't sack in your vice president, where na incessant been bring and come to we the Salon people them and tell we say a trust time for let it go be the person we go take over the government in case in the president die or sick or we not go able for do anything for the country again. Now it don't sack Honorable Alhaji Samuel Sam Somana and don't appoint and swear in Victor Bakari Fall as the current vice president of the country. Me family then we go on for talk to una today, but the constitutional issues then where the president don't create by ignoring waiting we call due process. Let we all know say we not a country like any other country, and we government they run on a constitution where not a legal document we explain how the one that way we elect in our government for work for we. You know, according to that constitution, the only government body will get the right and powers then for sack the president or the vice president now we country na the parliament, than the one that will they elect for go na parliament. The reason is simple. Now the Salone people them elect the one them where they in a parliament. So then they represent Salone as a country. Therefore, any decision where they take in a parliament, they na decision where binding on Salone as a country. Now that give them the right and the powers for sack the president or the vice president if they think say reason they were sufficient for able for take that kind of decision day. But we'll go come back to that one day later. Me fambu them whether you're an APC member or not, waiting don't happen in our country very important for let we go pay attention to, and we all for team up for this gross violation of we constitution and we right as citizens of Sierra Leone. Where President Nkrumah na been candidate inside 2007, both in your APC constitution and the Salone constitution put him under a mandate for choose in running mate, just like how it happen at any other political party presidential elections. Me famble them. You listen to Sherix Webradio live from our second studio.
You know, so that was a Sherix Broadcast Network. You know, in those days, you know, when we started the radio station, we were just playing Sierra Leonean music. Once in a while, we bring in talk shows. You know, we talk about important events. But then it's suddenly a major news broke out in Sierra Leone, where in the middle of the Ebola crisis, the president, you know, first the APC as a political party decided to expel the elected vice president by that time, you know, Alhaji Samsumana, and then using that expulsion as an excuse, the president went ahead and fired him from a position of authority. And so that was a major news that broke out. And so we took advantage of that opportunity at that time to educate our people through the radio station. And of course, quite a lot of people, you know, actually admired what we were doing. They, you know, they were able to learn a lot about how our constitutional government operates, what their rights are, what their responsibilities are as citizens of the country. And so it was a major news that broke out at that time. And we really liked the fact that we were part of it, you know.
Let me remember say the Ebola virus disease they still kill with people then at the country. The situation don't look embarrassing for every Sierra Leonean all over the world as we government don't clearly show say they're not able for tackle this disease here so. But we people then sorry for we and send money for men with sick people them and pull the sick common at the country. The one the way then put in charge of them money then they chop all the money, you know. Then chop about $5.7 million of the money we pour in the country. You know, let me listen to some of the reports then we will be get as the Auditor General and reports come out concerning this very Ebola money we then send where the Auditor General say they're not able to account some of them. So let me see. You know, waiting, then talk about that money day, you know?
The fight against Ebola in Sierra Leone has been severely hindered by bad bookkeeping, according to the country's National Audit Service. The audit revealed that roughly 30% of the country's Ebola funds are unaccounted for. That translates to $5.7 million. And the audit doesn't indicate much confidence in where that money has gone. It reads, monies that have been set aside for the purpose of combating the Ebola outbreak may have been used for unintended purposes, thereby slowing the government's response to eradicate the virus. The document also warned that writing checks to individuals rather than organizations may have created leeway for such payments to be converted into personal use. The audit didn't include information about grants or loans provided by international organizations, but as of December 31st, Bloomberg reports estimates indicate only a third of the $2.9 billion donated by international groups has reached the affected nations. The news of financial mismanagement comes as the country has seen a 2-week uptick in confirmed Ebola cases. The World Health Organization's latest Ebola situation report shows Sierra Leone confirmed 76 new cases of the virus, increasing its total reported cases to just under 11,000.
So that, let me remember say,
and so, the news started going out into the international arena. That was Newsy, international news broadcast station based in the United States. And so everybody started knowing about what is going on. We have a very serious epidemic, health epidemic going on in the country, Ebola crisis, which our people had never heard about. Suddenly the disease is so mysterious. It is killing people brutally. People were dying in their massive numbers. And so the entire world was focused on tackling this disease. This was the main focus of the disease. But then suddenly, you can remember that the Auditor General of the country that works for Audit Service Sierra Leone came up with this report indicating that monies that were sent to the country to help fight the Ebola disease were being embezzled and that they were unaccounted for. So this was a huge news. Now everybody is talking about it. International news organizations are talking about this situation. So it became a little embarrassing. But then whilst we were dealing with that international embarrassment and a major health crisis, then the APC as a political party, they decided to divert the attention of the national populace from the embezzlement of the Ebola funds to politics. By expelling the vice president from position, and of course also now by the president sacking him from his elected position, which was a broad daylight constitutional violation. No matter how the Supreme Court talks about it, no matter how other legal minds talk about it, but the basic understanding of that act was a violation of the Constitution, because it is the people of Sierra Leone who actually voted for both the president and the vice president. And so for the president to take it upon himself without following due process, without going to parliament, without observing the protocols that he was supposed to observe, but then went ahead and fired an elected, constitutionally elected vice president and single-handedly replaced him with somebody else, that was just beyond anybody's imagination. So it was another major news that broke out at that time, and we were there at Sherix Webradio at that time to be able to bring it to air, right?
So, from them, when I don't hear the news from the BBC reporter. Now, when the vice president then at the quarantine, the All People's Congress Party, when at the APC, get a quick one and take a very harsh decision against a man within a quarantine. But that one day, not their own business as a party, because that's an internal party business. So you will not to member of APC, no talk about that, and they no worry about that one day. We not interfere inside waiting happen between Samsumana and APC Mandem. However, we want for let we listeners them know, say according to the APC constitution, the president of the country now also the chairman of the same party. So it go must know about any major decision where the party go take. Like this one, so we then take for expel the president, the vice president from the APC as a party. So where the party secretary general in the person of Alhaji Ansane read a report where say they don't expel or drive the vice president from the party for three reasons. Then say the reasons then have been say the man lie. For say he get a master's degree and he not get. Then say back the vice president be say in a Muslim, but they don't find out say he not a Muslim. Then talk back say the vice president deeper encourage anti-party activities then such as violence na kono and back the try for form in your political party. Now, from Mekuna go able to understand that story well, I get for bring Umaru Fofana in reports boards where they expel the vice president from the party.
In quarantine. The death of one of his bodyguards is what caused it. It seems that the vice president, however, has also been booted out of the country's ruling party. He's been expelled, which means the country needs another number 2. To shed light on the background to this, we're joined, as ever, from Freetown by our correspondent Umaru Fofana. Welcome back to the program, Umaru. Give us a little bit of explanation. Why has he been thrown out of the party?
Hello, Lawrence. Well, the governing party says that Sameh Samsumana was guilty of 4 offences. They say that he lied about his university education, saying that he held a master's degree when they say he didn't hold anyone. They also say that he claimed to be a Muslim when they say he is in fact not a Muslim. They say that he was behind skirmishes in his eastern home of Kono district against some government ministers, which he has vehemently denied. They also say that he has formed a new political party. I've spoken with the political party registration commission. They say no party has been registered since the elections of 2012. I've spoken with some Muslim clerics who say that Samsumana is a Muslim because all it takes to be to say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammad Rasulullah, and you are a Muslim, which they say he has done, and he has even performed the Muslim pilgrimage to Hajj. The vice president has denied all the allegations. He has even referred me to the website of the university, Minnesota State University in America, where his photograph is displayed as one of their influential alumni. However, we do not know what he studied there because the party is saying that he says he has a master's degree, which they say that he does not have.
So he's been able to fight back against these allegations despite being in quarantine. You've had a word with him, have you?
Yeah, I've had a word with him on the phone, and he has denied all of those allegations. He says he's waiting for his quarantine to end before he comes out and defends himself.
Why on earth have these allegations come out now? Is the impression that you get that people were waiting until he went into quarantine, or have these problems and these allegations been bubbling around before that period?
Well, there has been a huge frost in relations between him and the president. But of course, conspiracy theorists here believe that this is probably one of the reasons why they were waiting for him to go into quarantine and then they're moving on him politically. But the party is saying that is not the case. They only did this because a committee was set up to investigate these allegations and they found him to be guilty as charged. So therefore, they have chosen to do this. But he and the president, even before the run-off the elections of 2012, the president was almost clearly never going to choose him as his running mate. But somehow pressure was brought to bear and then he chose him as his running mate. It's an open secret here. And then that has not helped the situation. They have, if you believe press reports here, they have not even seen eyeball to eyeball in a long time. So we do not know the real reasons, if any, other than what we've been told by the ruling party.
And is this dominating conversations, or are people still understandably preoccupied by the virus?
Well, absolutely, this has dominated discussions, over the weekend especially, because it happened, at the weekend more or less. And this is what has drawn concern from many people here, that politics seems to be overtaking the fight against the virus. We are back to where we were when the president declared state of emergency. Numbers are still very high. There's a weekly average of more than 60 new infections. Last week, 80 people died of the virus. 63 people were infected. This has dominated conversation. Shortly before this, I was talking about the Ebola money, which was allegedly stolen.
Right, and so, like we said, this whole thing happened in the middle of the Ebola crisis. And so, the people were already upset with the government, for the way they handled, the way they managed the Ebola crisis. A lot of people were maintaining this idea that, there was a conspiracy theory that the president, somebody that a lot of people thought that he always loved money, that he must have taken money from somewhere in the Western world to allow the epidemic to be tested on the people of Sierra Leone. And so, plus every other money that went into the country to manage the disease, people thought that the president and his government, embezzled that money. And in fact, so when the Auditor General's report came out, it was just a justification or verification of the citizens, belief that the money was, being siphoned, that the government did not handle the crisis the way they were supposed to handle the crisis. So when this issue of the sacking of the vice president came up, it just angered everybody. Everybody was just angry. We can remember how people jump on the street, how people were angry everywhere, wherever Sierra Leoneans were. It was just a very sad and angry moment for Sierra Leoneans all over the world.
We're just discussing, and a lot of the other speakers have been talking about the reasons why they think this is an important event. And so if I may ask you, what spurred you to action as far as this event is concerned?
Thank you for having me on. The reason why we find need to organize such an event is stemming back to the founding of our country. Our founding fathers, those who were the architects of our independence, made a solemn pledge to fashion a united nation, a country that is united, a country that is free because they value freedom, a country that is just because they value justice. Hence, in our national emblem, you have unity, freedom, and justice. Over the years, we have allowed and adopted the culture of silence and allowed politicians to continue to violate the basic foundation that holds the nation together. And those actions led to the civil war that we experienced in the past. Thousands of our fellow brothers and sisters, friends, family members, people who went to school, people who went to bed, slept, some people, your brothers and sisters from the same mother, lost their lives on account of that war. So when we see semblance of the same tyranny that led us into the war, in the action of an Eskroma, which he has been doing over the years, we reached the point that we said we can no longer adopt that culture of silence. His defiance, his gross violation of the basic principles of our Constitution, we just tired of it. And that is part of the reason. Part of the reason is also because we do not have a strong opposition. So in the absence of a strong opposition, since they are all part of the same inept and corrupt culture, so they don't see need to stand up to the executive or the president when he violates our Constitution.
And so at this point, the members of the concerned Sierra Leoneans decided to jump on the issue and, organize demonstrations, protest everywhere. There was a protest at the White House in Washington, D.C., at the World Bank in Washington, D.C., at the United Nations building in New York, of course, 10 Downing Street in London, in Australia, in Canada, in Belgium, in France, in Sierra Leone. People demonstrated all over the place to register their disgust, to register their dissent, to register their dissatisfaction with how the president was violating the constitution of the country and at the same time mishandling the Ebola crisis in the country. And so this was just a very sad time for the country, as everybody was, very concerned. I mean, I was in Washington, D.C. for the protest myself, and I have never seen a huge turnout of Sierra Leoneans for one cause against their government that was more than what I saw in Washington, D.C. Almost every Sierra Leonean who means well for the country, travel from far and near to Washington, D.C. Of course, I came from Texas. It's a 3.5 hours flight just to get to Washington for this event. And people travel from California, from different places. So it was just a sad moment. And, people were ready to really to make their voices heard, to let the international community understand that they do not stand with the president on how he was handling the Ebola crisis and at the same time the sacking of the vice president, right? Those things happen at that time.
No, sit down. You know what? Chancellor, we don't call the meeting. What's in this meeting in the moment? Let we just sit down and wait. What do you want to concern camp? We all go know what
So you know nothing?
Now let me wait.
Say what's like you look chief self don't come.
Yeah, I cancel.
Chief. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Chief, good afternoon.
Yes, I want to get you silent. Sit down.
Chief, sit down.
Bondi with the big for the West End.
Chief, what's
that traffic the whole road.
The same thing with me, sir. For me,
about 1 hour. 1 hour we did at that place.
It's not easy.
I'll be tired about this super. So anyway, long ago we start again. That will just carry on now. You go start for introduce yourself.
Chief, for make me introduce myself, I'm not facing again any problem. Because even they were all waiting up, so they know this one green councillor. They know the work on this community. Look at the pump there.
But shut up, forget about the pump. Pump no go watch. I know
you. So they no go come up be me ba.
I no go come out.
So what you dey what you happy ba?
Politics. What's the politics?
I go slap you, you know the people.
Pump in the contract watch.
Councillor.
Yes, sir.
I want to let you behave yourself. Listen, what you want to do? There people there so you don't put a make one match for the two most.
All right, and so as all of this was going on in the country, there was this constitutional review that was going on in the country. So the primary objective of that constitutional review was two things. One, to ensure that there is total inclusion or total involvement of the ordinary Sierra Leonean into the democratic processes in the country. You know, and to also be able to, you know, review some of the articles and clauses in the Constitution that were not serving the country so well. You know, issues like how many years can a president be in a position of authority or in the office of president, or, you know, how can we allow our brothers and sisters who are citizens of, you know, other countries be able to participate in the, you know, the democratic process in Sierra Leone. And so that was going on, which we thought was also a very interesting, you know, national activity that was taking place in Sierra Leone. So these things were happening, and of course, it was necessary for us as a broadcasting network to bring it to Sierra Leoneans so that they know exactly what was going on. And we're glad that we did. So next we're gonna go to another program, and that is we're gonna bring you information directly linked to the maximum prison in Sierra Leone. That's the Pandemba Road prison. We want to give you an idea as to how the government is treating, you know, where I can say the justice system is treating prisoners, and how are people incarcerated in Sierra Leone, because we are seeing very young, poor kids that are going to prison for no reason. You know, some of their parents will just say, oh, this person stole something from me, something minor like food, and they will sentence a little young boy to prison, and then when he goes to prison, there is no law and order in prison. It is lawless, and so some of them are going through a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of suffering at the Pandemba Road prison. And so the question arises as to whether this is a human right violation by either the Justice Department in the country or by the government itself. And so we're going to bring this to you, all right? The Pandemba Road prison. I mean, even though people who are at Pandemba Road prison are supposed to have committed crimes, but it doesn't mean when you are in prison you don't have your human right. You have certain rights to your dignity and to you being a human being. And so we want to bring this to you, and you be the judge, all right? And so stick around with us.
My name is Andrew Mosi. I came in prison in 2007. My age is 15 years of age. Accused me to commit murder.
You know, so we saw the fact that the justice system in the country was really not, you know, doing the things that the people were expecting it to do for the country. You know, looking at the fact that children at the age of 14, 13, 14, for minor, you know, offenses like stealing somebody's food or, you know, engaging in a fight. And, you know, the way the justice system works in Sierra Leone is so bad, that is so unbelievable, that those who are supposed to be in law enforcement are controlled by those who are in positions of authority, like the politicians. They will call somebody to say, oh, this person has done this to me, I want you to go arrest that person. Now, they are not police officers, but they send the police officers to do the job of the police officer. So, I mean, when I saw that there were these very sad stories about children being incarcerated in Sierra Leone, they are kept at the Pademba Road prison, their cases are not heard, they spend, you know, a lengthy amount of time in prison without the court hearing their cases. And looking at lawlessness in the prison in Sierra Leone, I mean, only God knows how they survive them, how they survive the conditions in the prison, you know. So that was a very, you know, sad story for us to learn about. And it still continues because this has been a repeated cycle in the country. So even when a government means well, government wants to transform how things happen, but because of how the problem is so endemic, the problem has gone to the depth of the fabric of the country, it is not easy for anybody or any president to be able to deal with this issue so easily. So the issue, as we see, is going to be addressed, but it's still there. You know, it has not been taken care of entirely yet. It is still in the country, right? Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see right there, that is Mr. Jesmed Fodemamisuma, a policy advocate for Sierra Leone. Of course, he has been doing quite a good job on that. We want to get his own general perspective on this abridged report that has been issued out by the Constitutional Review Committee. And of course, Mr. Jesmed, we are going to talk exclusively about Mayor Sir Emerson Lamina, who was suspended from his elected mayoral position by the Minister of Local Government in Sierra Leone. And of course, we are talking about Diana Konomai. Sir Emerson Lamina. How are you doing, Mayor?
Thank you very much.
Currently a resident in the San Francisco Bay Area. Of course, we are talking about no other person but Mr. Aliu Iskandari, who is a Sierra Leonean born lawyer. Of course, many of you out there are very familiar with this name. And he is a lawyer who has a very serious knowledge and activities in human rights, personal injury, immigration, criminal and civil litigation report that has been issued by the Constitutional Review Committee out there in Sierra Leone. And of course, I just want to take this time to welcome Brother Aliu Iskandari. Welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see. And so now that we realize that a lot of people are watching our shows from all over the world, we are receiving comments, we are receiving suggestions, we are receiving a lot of good responses from our viewers from around the globe. You know, we thought it fit that it was necessary for us to start bringing in people who are authorities in certain areas of the country, who can speak on issues, on policy matters, on governance issues, you know, so all together, all of us will be able to find solutions to some of the problems that have been going on in the country. And so we started inviting, you know, people like Jesmed Fodemamisuma, who, I mean, everybody knows him. He's very much aggressive when it comes to policy issues in the country. We started talking to ministers in government. We started talking to business people, professionals. And so that took our broadcast to a whole new level. You know, we took it to a whole new level at that point.
Sherix Broadcast Network. Straight talk for change.
You are watching Sherix Broadcast Network.
And you know, so at this point, we started coming up with, you know, targeted commercials about us, you know, what we stand for. We wanted our viewers all over the world to understand, you know, what are the key issues that we stand on. And so we started getting a lot of, you know, suggestions from our viewers from all over the world to change the language that we use in our broadcast from English to Creole, which is the national language, so that everybody in the country can understand what we are doing. You know, everybody will understand what we are saying on our broadcast, you know. And so we thought that that was a very good suggestion, you know, because only about 15% of the national population of Sierra Leone, of 7 million people, that can speak and understand English. And so we started thinking that, well, whom are we talking to? You know, if we continue to speak English on the show, who are we actually talking to? So we decided to change the language from English to Creole. We started bringing in commercials. We started doing things so that people can really understand that this is not one of those, you know, many online televisions that we find around there, putting up talking shows and other programs. But this is one that is unique, with a professional approach to how we do things, to kind of create a kind of a quality reporting. And so we decided to really like go further into the in-depth and study how we can, you know, make it more professional, to look like CNN. You know, even though we can never reach the height of CNN, not at this time yet, because we don't have the money. But most of what you see on CNN and other television stations, you see it on our station as well. So we decided to also take that route. With a question that came up. And of course, that question is about the credibility of the 2015 census in Sierra Leone. Will all heads be counted? You know, so that's the question. And of course, we are going to give credit to a Sierra Leonean firm that was able to ask this question and do a thorough analysis of the census that was conducted in 2015. So that is our question. And so first, we're going to take an exclusive look at some numbers between the census that was conducted in 2005 and the one that, in 1985 and the one that was conducted in 2004. In 2004, taking a look at the five major cities in Sierra Leone, Freetown in 1985, the census population, the population of that city was 469,776, and of course in 2004 it was 772,800. So at this point, we can say that now. So at this point, we have now decided to say, you know what? Let us start going after the issues. You know, the first one we actually went after was the 2015 census report that was issued by Statistics Sierra Leone, and we wanted first to look at how the entire Statistics Sierra Leone was organized by the government, and for the country to rely on them to conduct a credible census in the country. I mean, we wanted Sierra Leoneans to know that censuses take place every 10 years in Sierra Leone, and that the data that is reported from those censuses is the data that the government we depend on, we rely on, or we use to implement development programs, to implement programs that benefit the people. Because this is the data that makes the government to understand what is the demographic distribution in the country, how many old people we have in the country, how many young people, how many women, how many children are dying, how many children we have, and so they will be able to know where they should focus in with their policies in providing for the country. So we decided to really understand who are the people who conducted the 2015 population and housing census in Sierra Leone. We thought it was very, very important. We thought it was very important. So the question was, were they going to be able to count everybody in the country? Because for even those Sierra Leoneans who are resident outside of the country, I think some effort should have been made to reach out to them, because they are part of the population. Even though they are resident outside of the country, they send a lot of money in the country, and so they are helping the country with economic issues. Because if Sierra Leoneans living in the diaspora have not been sending those monies that they send in the country, I mean, one can imagine how the country was going to be like. The economy was going to go down, right? So we decided to take on Statistics Sierra Leone. Looking at that number, we can say that now, the Director of Demographic and Social Statistics, he has a master's degree from Jalal University College, and of course he has advanced, where according to the stipulations for people who are supposed to conduct statistics or conduct census in the country, what are some of the qualifications? So according to the benchmark requirement recommended by Statistics Sierra Leone Management Review Team, a person who is supposed to be in that position should have a master's degree in statistics, economics, mathematics, or demography, not less than 10 years experience in statistical office. Now, but the person who was the director of the census that was conducted, actually has a master's degree from Jalal University College in education. All right, in education, not in economics, not in maths, not in demography, and we do not know whether he has 10 years experience in statistical office of Sierra Leone or wherever. We do not know. All right, next in command, principal statistician and head of demographic and social statistics section. He has a master's of education from Jalal University College, right? What are the qualifications according to the statistics office for a person who is supposed to be in that position? The qualification is supposed to be an advanced degree in statistics, in economics, in mathematics, or demography, and not less than 10 years experience in statistical office. All right? So both men did not meet the criteria for holding that position, but these are the people who manage our statistics or our census. Next to the second in command is the Director of Data Processing and Systems Analysis. What is his qualification? So as we continue to read into the document, we were able to uncover that almost everybody who was working as an administrator or as a decision maker in the Statistics Sierra Leone office and who manned the 2015 population and housing census were not qualified to hold the positions they were holding. They were not qualified because there were specific requirements for anybody who works for that office to be able to hold a particular qualifications in order for him or her to be in those specific leadership positions in at Statistics Sierra Leone. Especially at a time when we are supposed to conduct census, a census report or data that the government that is critical to the development of the country, that is critical to the progress that the country makes. And so we were able to uncover that. So it was essential that we actually read the document, you know. So we wanted Sierra Leoneans to understand that, to know that these, population and housing census that the government keeps talking about, these are the people who are manning, who are, responsible for, collecting or conducting the census, So district census officers, we are going to look at the 12 districts of Sierra Leone and the census officers who were in charge of manning the activities of the census, who were responsible for collating all of the data and submitting it to the central office so the central office can submit a comprehensive report of the census of 2015 that the country is supposed to use to implement government programs and development programs as well. All right? Okay. And so looking at your screen right now, you can see that we had Sheku S. Tarawari for Southern Province, who manned the Pujon district. He is a member of the APC parliamentary candidate. He was a APC parliamentary candidate, constituency 87 in the 2012 elections. So this person is a member of the incumbent political party. All right. Then we have Michael Kefara, Southern region. He was in charge of Bunt district. We do not have any information about his background, so we're going to leave that alone. Mohammed Lee, Southern region. He was in charge of Mohammed district. No information on his background. Raymond Saidu, Southern province. Bo district, he was in charge of that. He was the APC parliamentary candidate in constituency 73 in the 2012 elections. All right? And then we have James S. Kanu for Northern Province, Tonkolili District, of course, and he is the APC chairman for constituency 63, Tonkolili District. We have Mr. Mohammed S. Kamara, Northern Province, Port Loko. He was in charge of that area. Contested for APC parliamentary symbol for constituency 49 in the 2012 parliament. So as we went on, we continued to unravel that those who actually conducted the 2015 population and housing census in the country were people who were either not qualified to hold the positions that they held at Statistics Sierra Leone's office, or they were people who were closely associated with the incumbent All People's Congress at that time. So this was a very important national activity that was supposed to take place. Censuses are very important. The development of a country or the retrogression of a country is dependent on how credible a census report is. So as we went further, we were able to realize that these people were not even qualified to do what they did, or they had political allegiance to, to the incumbent political party. So it was really like I cannot understand, but that's what we have now. That is the census report we have. And Sierra Leone will not go through any other census until 10 years after the 2015. So can you imagine? This is so dangerous for our country. It is so precarious. And so when we say that our country is not making progress, our country is stagnated, these are some of the reasons we were able to uncover, we were able to see how things are being done. Right? I'm going to talk exclusively about the All People's Congress of Sierra Leone. That is the political party that is presently in government. That is the current government of Sierra Leone, the party that formed the current government of Sierra Leone. And of course, according to the constitution of that political party, the chairman and leader of that political party is automatically the presidential candidate of the party. And so the president of Sierra Leone also happens to be the chairman and leader of the APC. All right? And so talking about this political party, like we talked about the SLPP in the previous week, we want to bring you a historical perspective of this party. All right? And so the APC, or the All People's Congress, we are going to be using APC throughout this broadcast because it stands for All People's Congress. And so the APC was founded by late Shaka Probin Stevens in 1960. Okay, even though Shaka Probin Stevens was joined by other people who were the original founders of the party, but just like Sir Miti Maga and Sir Albert Maga are prominent names that are associated with the SLPP, the name Shaka Probin Stevens is prominently associated with the APC. All right, so this party was founded by him, Shaka Probin Stevens. Soon we are going to be talking about him. And it was founded in 1960. Of course, their first meeting took place on Elba Street in Eastern Freetown by Fobero, right? That's where they had their first meeting. And so what is the concept of the APC? On what concept was it founded? The APC was founded on a radical ideology based on socialist ideas, right? So we thought it fit that, you know, most of the problems that the country is going through is because politicians in the country are very selfish. They are unpatriotic. Most of them, I'm not saying all of them, but most of them are very unpatriotic. They are taking advantage of the ignorance of the youths in the country to perpetuate their stay in power by either intimidating, you know, the opposition, or by, you know, supporting violence clandestinely, this kind of thing. So we thought it fit that it was necessary for us to provide some education on the founding of the two main political parties in the country, especially the All People's Congress that was in power at that time, and the Sierra Leone People's Party, which was the main opposition political party at that time. So we thought that it was necessary for us to do that. And trust me, we received a lot of accolades for what we did, how we introduced the two political parties to people, especially the young people who did not know how their political parties that they popularly aligned themselves with, how those parties were founded, and what were the concepts upon which they were founded, right? A little bit of time now on the Sierra Leone People's Party, which is the main opposition political party in Sierra Leone. And so in order for us to do this, we are going to go into a little bit of history lesson. We want to bring it to you for the benefit of some of the people, especially the young folks in the party now, who really do not know the history of the party. And of course, until you place value on your history and until you know the history of your political party, you are not going to be able to understand how to move forward or even how to conduct yourself in the present time. So we see it as very vital for us to bring you some historical lessons about the Sierra Leone People's Party, how the party was formed and what happened to the political party. And so people understand that this is the kind of political party that we are members of. All right, and so the Sierra Leone People's Party is the oldest political party in Sierra Leone and one of the oldest political party in Africa, for that matter. All right, it was founded on April 27, 1951. Of course, that may be the reason why Sierra Leone's independence was actually on April 27, 1961, 10 years after the SLPP was founded. All right, because it was SLPP that led Sierra Leone into independence. Okay, now what are the concepts upon which the SLPP is founded or is based, right? SLPP founders founded SLPP on the basis of conservatism and democracy. Right? These are the two. Right, and so we realized that it was very paying off. It was necessary that we decided to do what we did, you know, to educate Sierra Leoneans about the history of the political parties that they are members of. Because many of the people in the country did not know the history of their political parties. And so for even some other people who were about to form new political parties, they were just putting the two political parties that have been in position of authority since independence, into one category. And so we thought that it was necessary for us to talk about that, right? All right, me family them. We want to talk to una today small about how the APC government they distribute national resources in Sierra Leone. We don't decide again today for let's take an exclusive look at the road constructions where APC government don't do in the country. For let's analyze the three main cities apart from Freetown, because Freetown are the capital city. We don't want to talk about that right now. But the three other main cities, including Makeni, Bow, and Kenema. All right, first we'll begin with Makeni and Bow, exclusively for seeing the APC government don't do for their areas, then they would begin with them. All right, and so right now this is the city of Makeni. What would they look at? Makeni City, you see the roads, they all get quota panam, they all paved. They see no dust as the Okada then they pass. They see dust, as the motorcar in the past, they see dust. You see how beautiful this road is right now, the one way to go. This is Makeni, the third largest city in Sierra Leone. And of course, right now, at the Bow City, we'll go for a look at exclusively. Take a look at Bow City. This is Bow City. Then, you see, the roads, they're all quota, the motorcar in the past, now a tar road, this now, Bow City, that are the second largest city in Sierra Leone. This na Makeni right here, as you see, this na Makeni. Now the clock tower inside Makeni na net. You see the way they decorated again, all the lights, everything look beautiful and gorgeous, just like any Western world, at least to that standard. People are glad for waiting that they see, and so. This is not Makeni City, of course, the seat of the the hometown of the president of Sierra Leone, and it's by Kuruma, Nayanda Ikomot, na Makeni. And so, let's take a look at Kenema, right? Let's take a look at Kenema. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kenema right here. This is Blama Road. Now, the main street, this where you come off Freetown, you pass through Bow, you wait for enter inside Kenema. Now the road this way they use for go inside Kenema. Look at the roads, look at the streets, and tell me if this government don't do a fair distribution of the national resources. This is Blama Road, one of the major streets in Kenema. This is not the main streets where they enter inside Kenema from Freetown, or where they come out from Kenema for go Freetown through Bow. This is not the streets that one day. And of course, let me show you another one. This is another major street. This is why I saw now Dama Road. Dama Road now another major street where they go. Now, like if you want to go Liberia, now this Dama Road they use for go Liberia. And you see how dusty it is. So tell me, compare these two information. The Kenema streets them and the streets then are Makeni and Bow, and tell me anybody where they live. Right. So we also thought that, because ever since the APC government took over the reins of governance in the country in 2007, and then, second term from 2012, they were telling everybody that they were fixing roads in the country. That was the main project that they had taken up as a legacy that they will leave behind if they have to leave power. That would be their legacy. They were fixing roads in the country. And so we were looking at how fairly they were distributing the national wealth of the country, or the national resources of the country. So for those who don't know, we have four main cities in Sierra Leone. We have Freetown, which is the capital city of the country. We have Bow, which is the second largest, in the country. We have Kenema, which is the third largest. And then we have Makeni, which is the fourth largest. So we wanted to know how the president distributed the national resources in fixing these roads, especially in the provincial headquarter towns. So we realized that Makeni was completely fixed. The roads in Makeni were just like you saw in the video. We saw that. We did our own assignment. We saw that's how we were able to get those videos. And then we saw that they did the same thing in Bo. I mean, partly in Bo, not all the way. But then they completely decided to leave Kenema out. And many people were maintaining this idea that because the president is punishing the people of Kenema because the people refused to support the APC, which was the incumbent political party, and that they overwhelmingly supported the SLPP, and so they were being punished for their strong support for the opposition party at that time. So you saw how the road was. I mean, during the dry season, the people will be inhaling dust. They inhaled that dust for 10 years. During the rainy season, it's all mud all over the place. It's muddy. You cannot even drive in there. So, and that used to be one of the economic backbone of the country, because that was the seat of, the diamonds. All the diamondiferous towns in Sierra Leone, that is their headquarters. And so we decided to also show that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, right now we have Mr. Mohammed K. Mansouri on the phone with us. Of course, as we know, this is the man who is currently leading the Alliance Democratic Party in Sierra Leone. He has been a fierce critic of the current government, and he has been following up on key issues in Sierra Leone, including the water crisis. And so we're going to now talk to him live from Freetown, Sierra Leone. Hello, Mr. Mohammed K. Mansouri. How you do, sir?
Not bad. I do well.
Okay. We'll be done to follow you a lot. I mean,
right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, right now we have Mr. Mohammed K. Mansouri on the phone with us. Of course, as we know, this is the man who is currently leading the Alliance Democratic Party in Sierra Leone. He has been a fierce critic of the current government, and he has been following up on key issues in Sierra Leone.
All right, and then of course for people who were following the stories, you know that the country, even though it has the largest deposit of water underground anywhere in Sierra Leone, when you dig, you will meet water. But then there was water crisis in the country. The people were struggling to get water, to drink, to take bath, I mean, unimaginable that our children were walking on their bare feet, crossing very dangerous streets that have no traffic lights. They were crossing those streets to go fetch for water for up to 4 miles every early in the morning. Sometimes they had to wake up like around 4 a.m. So we thought that it was also necessary to talk about the water crisis in the country. I mean, it became a serious national issue, especially in the capital city, Freetown. So we provided coverage on that as well.
All right, me famudem una cabo. Of course, Sherix Broadcast Network again. They come to una today with this exclusive 7 days weather forecast. Of course, what you see right now, completely different from what we see last week. Last week there was a lot of concentration of a system, a hurricane-like system. Where they concentrate on the west coast of the Atlantic. Based on what we see right now, we'll not see any adverse weather condition inside the Atlantic, even though we see a little bit of clouds, a little bit of systems that develop between Southern America and Africa. All right. And so, me family na that will go able for bring come to na as far as waiting to happen na Africa and especially West Africa and Sierra Leone. So let us see what that is. All right, on this map here. And so, what we see on this map now is a representation of the kind of temperature we get for the West African region. And so that takes us to the exclusive 7 days weather forecast for Sierra Leone, West Africa at this point. And so what we have for you is this. And so this now we Christmas weather forecast. Of course, we want to say Merry Christmas to all of you. And so the 7 days weather forecast for Sunday,
December 25, 2016 for Freetown, Sierra Leone, coming directly from Sherix Broadcast Network. One for Teuna, plenty thank you and Merry Christmas to all. And so what we get now for the Christmas weather for the next 7 days is that we're going to start giving you for Monday, which is tomorrow. And so according to the so we also realize that one of the things that our people don't have in the country is knowing what their weather forecast is going to be like. What kind of weather will they expect? You know, what kind of a weather would they expect to happen in the next days, you know, ahead? Because if they know, they will be able to prepare themselves for it. If it is going to rain heavily, if it is going to be too much heat, whatever the condition is. So we decided to really study how to present a weather forecast. I mean, we did not have any sophisticated equipment, any sophisticated gadgets, but we know there are resources where we can go and grab these resources and use them. And thank God, our people were very appreciative of that, because even the mudslide that happened in Sierra Leone, we were able to predict that mudslide, and we advised people to engage in activities that will prevent either the mudslide from happening or for them to have moved away from the area where the mudslide happened. You know, so it was through the weather forecast that we were able to do these things, and I am happy that the people actually benefited from that service as well. That's we get for talk about Naya. So today we get some of the people that we get for joining Naya for talk about these issues. Of course, we get one of we sister on the line right now from the east coast of United States. Somebody we very care about Sierra Leone, and of course, he happened to be the public relations officer for the Coalition for Change in Sierra Leone. When I see for see Betty Foray. Hello, Betty. How you do?
I do fine, thank you.
That's good. That's good. Welcome to Sherix Broadcast Network. Of course, on this day, you know, I don't know how you feel. Whosoever you day, I know say it's a sad day for you. So, what can you tell us about this day?
I tell you, after the Ebola crisis, this is not the saddest day in my life, I swear. As a journalist in Salon, I see war. I go war front one time. I see mayhem at in peak. But waiting happen so today in Salon. They just spoiled me one whole day. They make I feel so sad, I swear. And even though not a time for politics, I think say it's necessary for let politics come inside waiting happen so today. I seen on social media some people blame the government, some say no, not blame the government. This has happened since 1945, August 10. Mudslide take place in Charlotte. So imagine 72 years ago if that happened, we're not for blame the government today. But me go blame the government today. You know why? This natural disaster, even United States not able to stop natural disasters. Russia not able, all the superpower in the world know they stop natural disaster. Then are unstoppable rebels. But you know why make me go blame the country? Right. Because in Sierra Leone, people know they demonstrate. People know they condemn the government. The government are the superpower. They know why you read the people and boys, and then they do everything as they see fit. Right. And a government, not like a family. The president. With them, just like how we know, today we're going to continue this live commentary on waiting at the situation what happened to people in Sierra Leone. And of course, every year it look like say now for the past couple of years, people go through this same very sad situation at the country, where in Freetown, the capital city, they get flooded and people they lost their lives, property, and all of that. And so now the same thing they go on now. So let we go continue for talk about this whole thing. We get to a brother on the line, somebody we most of you are familiar with, Mr. Jesmed for the Mami Suma. On the line also, somebody who cares so much about Sierra Leone. In fact, they're on the way for go back into the country. Hello, Mr. Suma. How you do, sir?
Yes, sir, Mr. Sheriff. This man will say they do fine because of the sadness where we all live on. The people and innocent people and hundreds of young brothers and sisters and life just can't disappear inside 24 hours. Quick. That is sad. It is sad.
Very, very, very sad. I mean, looking at the images, then all they see, you know, the videos, it's very sad. You actually see, say, the water they've really tried for finding a way for pass. So meaning that if there is proper planning of the city itself, sometimes some of them problems here are not going to happen. What do you think about?
Man, my brother, this is a problem we avoidable. Now, problem we, if we can get the right type of government of people that we care, it's not going to say that nobody knows what we foresee. If you get people that we care, we understand how to respect life. Hey, we don't go look then kind buildings and then hills and the bare naked hill. You know we expect to then kind of they happen.
Right. And so, me found with them that the weather forecast that one day for Sierra Leone for the next 7 days. Of course, like how we don't see the rain get for continue for pour in the country. And so, we just the advice for people for them go be careful, may them take more cautionary measures. Then at this point, going forward, you know, because your life more important past any other thing at this point. You picking him, you wife, you man, all get for be careful. You know, not sit down wait for government because they don't do one for you. Now, at this point, we get for continue for talk on the issues then. Of course, we get another panelist who don't join we, of course, in the person of Mr. Lansana Sakor from Reading, Pennsylvania. Instead of now other person we very much care about Sierra Leone, like how we all do, care about Sierra Leone and the things that will continue for happen at the country. So, Mr. Sakor, are you on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, welcome. We're not to get you clearly. If we're on speaker, now for pull you on speaker, you know, so we're you fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
yes,
you know, when they talk about this situation, we don't happen at Sierra Leone today, what's your take on everything we don't go on at the country? Because every year, this flooding, they happen, people that lost their lives. What is your take on what is going on?
First of all, the panelists there, Mr. Jessmed, I want to say thank you for your sacrifice. Where you they give for the country, and we can afford we all in defense. And Miss Foray, same thing to you. We the Canada for can't talk about the country.
So, you know, because of human activities, because of the kind things, the kind of things that, you know, Sierra Leoneans were doing, it made it so dangerous for them to live in the areas they were living in. I mean, Freetown is like San Francisco. For those people who have visited San Francisco, Freetown is just like that. You know, there is the sea at the bottom of this mountainous, you know, environment. And people, instead of maintaining trees up in the mountains, they were cutting the trees down. They have cut those trees down over years. And so now there are no trees, no vegetation up in the mountains. And the swell up in the mountain is a red swell, which absorbs a lot of water. And so the disaster happened, mudslide, you know, which was one of the saddest disasters that have ever befallen. I mean, in Sierra Leone, when the civil war broke out, 50,000 Sierra Leoneans died. We thought that was the worst disaster or catastrophe ever. And then the Ebola came. It was even more fearful than the civil war. And then the mudslide. I mean, can you imagine sleeping in the middle of the night, the rain is pouring heavily, and you see yourself covered in mud. I mean, whilst you are asleep. So it was one of the most devastating, you know, events that took grip of the lives of Sierra Leoneans. And so we invited panels, people who have been journalists, people who are policy advocates, you know, people who are politicians, to profile their views on what may have been the potential, reason for a catastrophe like that. I mean, even though it's a natural disaster, but our human activities contributed to the disaster. Somehow it contributed to the disaster, right?
Daddy God in heaven, we pray before you tonight.
Amen.
For call upon your name as we surrender with families that we don't lose.
Amen.
This big loss and the nation as a whole.
Amen.
Lord Jesus, indeed, the life of man is in your hand. You will create we, you put we in the world. It please you, you go take her anytime, any moment. Lord, may we come closer to you.
Amen.
Than ever in our lives. Father, we there within the last day. Disaster day all over the world. Things are happening. Now the arrow don't turn to our country, Sierra Leone. Father, in the name of Jesus, the one that we don't die, we don't suffer unexpected death, we don't count their way. Lord, whatever they do, remember them, O God. Remember their good deeds.
Amen.
The situation is we're not going to pray for the dead, because the sooner you die, your book is closed. Nothing not the add, nothing not the subtract. But Lord, we pray that the families that we don't suffer this loss, the lives that we don't come up from it, continue to console them, O God.
Amen.
Continue, Lord, for comforting. Continue for make provision.
Thank you very much, Brother Sharif. I am very humbled to be on your show, and to all of our dear listeners. My name is Mohammed Jumandi Kamara. I am the president of the Southwest Community Center. I'm also an imam and a preacher. And I was privileged during the Liberian crisis to have seek refuge in Sierra Leone, particularly in Kenema, the Eastern Province. We were welcomed upon our arrival and were given warm state. And this is something that will remain on our mind until the day we leave this world. So the natural disaster that has affected our people in Sierra Leone has touched all of us. So this time we take this privilege and opportunity to join all of those, irrespective of the faith they have come from, that have made contribution through prayer or supplication. This time we also want to join them. Firstly, I begin by saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I seek refuge in Allah against the rejected enemy of humanity, Satan. In Allah's name, I begin my speech. Alhamdulillah, all praise is due to Allah. Nahmaduhu, we thank Him. Wa nasta'inu, we seek His assistance. Wa nastaghfiruh, and we seek His forgiveness. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyi'ati a'malina. We seek refuge in Allah for the evil of our actions and the evil of our hand. Man yahdihillah, anyone whom Allah guides, fahuwa al-muhtad, he is truly guided. Waman yudlilu, anyone whom Allah misguides, falan tajida lahu waliyan murshida, will never find guidance. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I give open testimony to the oneness of Allah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I also give testimony that Prophet Muhammad, is Allah's slave and His messenger to mankind.
Daddy God in heaven, we pray before you.
Right. So, looking at Sierra Leone as a very religious, tolerant country, one of the most religious, tolerant countries in the world, we thought that there was need for a divine intervention into our situation in the country, because it was disaster after disaster after disaster. No good news was coming out of our country. We just came from 11 years of brutal civil war. 50,000 Sierra Leoneans were killed. 2 million Sierra Leoneans became displaced. Then after that, we tried to put ourselves back on track a little bit. Then there was an outbreak of the Ebola crisis. About 4,000 of our people died. The Ebola funds were mismanaged. The country almost descended into a constitutional crisis because the president violated the constitution. And then the natural disaster mudslide happened, killed about almost 1,000 people. So it was disaster after disaster after disaster. And so we thought that there was need for divine intervention into our situation. So as a religious tolerant country, here on Sherix, we decided to invite both Christian leaders and Muslim leaders to pray for us, to pray for our country, and to pray to the Almighty God to forgive us for whatever we may have done that God is punishing us for. So that prayer went on very well.
Now that flood will take place now Philiton. That hill way London where killing that many people there. And the leader say United Nations on the ceremony. Now that flood will take place now Philiton. That hill way London where killing that many people there. And the leader say United Nations on the ceremony. Liberia, then donate. Dubai, then donate. Guinea, then donate. America, then donate. Lebanese, then at this country, then donate. The people in the salon where they sell Maggi and pepper, they don't donate. Me self Leo told Mario Molega put 30 million euros I donate. Do ya? I'm not saying that Ebola money is radio. What they eat coffee, but that's not commodity. What self not commodity? Smell more self not commodity. But this money, whether ill, got to people there. Whether water, terrible people there, then die. That money will donate. You know they collect that money. Do ya are the beg for court and Nabi. If you not mistake with that money, wallahi tala so this rum, you whatever amount they have in Memuna Bay or Molegbe. If you not mistake with that money na ega go bulu na power. What do I tell you?
Right now, we are seated here remembering Allah, and Allah is remembering us. Subhanallah, because the hadith says, whenever you gather together in order to remember Allah, Allah remembers you, and the angels surround you, and the mercy descends upon you. Subhanallah. So we have angels surrounding us, we have the mercy descending upon us. We feel so good. Look at the weather; it is like an air condition. Subhanallah. We are enjoying the beautiful weather. It is the mercy of Allah. Say Alhamdulillah. That is the mercy of Allah. It is the mercy of Allah. And at the same time...
So then we saw that this very popular Islamic cleric based in Zimbabwe that goes around the world preaching to Muslims. I mean, he's such a moderate Muslim that he preaches things that you don't see conservative Muslims preaching. He is preaching in the way that we help Christians, Muslims, and other religious faiths get along so well. So looking at the fact that the country was yearning for divine intervention, so the Islamic leaders in Sierra Leone decided to invite him to the country to inspire Muslims or to inspire Sierra Leoneans generally. Because like we have emphasized here, Sierra Leone is a country that is religious tolerant. When it is Christians' time, like Christmas, Muslims join Christians to celebrate Christmas. And when it is Ramadan, Christians join Muslims to celebrate Ramadan. So that is how the country is. So when Mufti Menk, made himself available in Sierra Leone, the entire populace came out. People came out in their numbers, just like you saw in the video. People came out in their numbers, to listen to him, to listen to his inspirational speech, his motivational speech, and he did such a good job for us. He really inspired Sierra Leoneans.
We saw the evidence and the shame to us Christians when we see an Islamic false teacher at the stadium. Even though I know people are very inquisitive here. People are very inquisitive. We are not busy. We don't have jobs. So a lot of people are idle. And they all pack to listen to a man that have no message. He didn't preach a message. He performed no miracles. He possesses no power. But he was there lying to people. Why do you have so much? Why do you have such a revival of evil? Because disciples of Christ are very few in Sierra Leone. Disciples are those who tell people about Jesus, are those who suffer persecution for the sake of Christ, are those who believe that whatsoever they have, whether their life or their talent or their career or their money, anything they have belongs to Jesus. That's a disciple. A disciple does not have anything of his own. Anything he has belongs to Jesus. His time belongs to Jesus. Every opportunity that he has, he uses it to witness about Christ. Darkness can only thrive where light has been kept under a bushel. Oh yes, Islam can only spread where Christians don't preach. Because when we preach, the difference is very clear. We are the one that stands and preach, and the one we are preaching about comes and approve, and he comes and testify that what we have said is true. But by taking problems away from people and healing the sick and making the blind to see and cripple walking, we are the only ones that preach about Jesus, and that Jesus will show up and confirm that what we are preaching is true. But when we keep quiet, then lies. Can you imagine the man called Mufti who came to Sierra Leone because they see us that we look vulnerable, we are poor, we can easily be deceived. Alright? He could stand in the national stadium of this country and telling this nation that this nation is an Islamic state. What an affront. There is nothing like Islam in the history of Sierra Leone. There is nothing. You have idol worshipping and Christianity. Those are the two religions here. And besides, is that what the Constitution says? He lied. He told a lie. He told a lie. And it is sad. I'm expecting church leaders to call a press conference to dispute that.
And everybody remembers when Pastor Ajesafe did his religious ranting in his church. Now, this is a guy who is not a Sierra Leonean. He is a Nigerian. He came to Sierra Leone, the people of Sierra Leone being very hospitable people. They always open their arms to strangers. They gave him a piece of land. He built his house there, and they gave him a wife. His wife is a Sierra Leonean. He built a church, and he has been living in Sierra Leone for up to more than 20 years. He has not been bothered. Nobody has ever said anything to him. Now, if you have been resident in Sierra Leone for up to 20 years, how can you not understand the people of Sierra Leone if you have their interest? Because you can tell from the speech that he gave that it was a hateful speech, and it was full of lies. He was accusing the Mufti men to have lied, but he lied even more than whatever. I did not see where Mufti Menk lied, but he lied, and his speech was based on hate. He just hated Muslims. And he went on to say that Sierra Leone is known for idol worshipping and Christianity. Those are the only two religions in Sierra Leone. This man was far removed from the truth, from the reality, from the true history of Sierra Leone. Because it was Islam that first came to Sierra Leone before Christianity. So we don't know what he was saying. So anyway, the whole country went into rage. Both Christians and Muslims, they went after him. All of us who were abroad, we went after him. I mean, the last thing that Israelis would encourage or we entertain will be another civil unrest or another war, especially when they talk about religious war. Because rhetorics like this, the way he preached, is the same way they have been preaching in Nigeria, and that's why they have the Boko Haram right now. We decided not to encourage that in Sierra Leone. And so everybody can remember the people went after Ajesafe very seriously. There were protests all over social media for him to be deported back to Nigeria. Because as Sierra Leoneans, we don't do things like that. We are very religious, tolerant people. We don't fight, Muslims don't fight against Christians. Christians don't fight against Muslims. Those who practice, traditional beliefs, we all get along very well. So it was a very, very, very tense moment in Sierra Leone, at least for a couple of, weeks. That's what happened in the country, sadly. And foreign embassies in Sierra Leone for let go deport Victor Ajesafe out of Sierra Leone because of that in statement, that in Samoa Guinea in church. But then, as God may have it, we want for, really register with appreciation to the government of Sierra Leone, especially to the Ministry of Social Welfare, Children and Gender and Children, Ministry of Social Welfare, Women and Genders, Children's Affairs. I think that's what it is. We, the minister now, Dr. Sylvia Blyden, one for tell una plenty thank you because we're not able to arrest the situation the proper way. When I arrest the situation the proper way, the only thing no more we get small talks and we'll get for can talk about, the way we handle Pastor Ajesafe in affairs as well. But we'll get for appreciate now for what we're not able to handle this situation so it not degenerate into chaos, it not degenerate into crisis, it not degenerate into conflict. We appreciate the APC government for that. You guys did a good job on that one. All right. If we not appreciate now throughout una reign of government in Sierra Leone from 2007 to now, but this particular issue arise in the country, we're not able to take care of them swiftly. So in fact, this don't tell we say now we APC not go on for doing work, but now people always sabi do their work, but because of then they deliberately refuse for do their work, and so therefore continue for punish Sierra Leone, and I make the country they in the situation we say the right now. But anyway, we're not going to go into that right now. We'll deal with Pastor Ajesafe issue today. So, and see, we all be don't see from last week that Pastor Ajesafe be don't come up with an apology. They don't apologize to, the president of Sierra Leone, the government of Sierra Leone, to Mufti Menk, we come up from Zimbabwe. They don't apologize to. They don't apologize to the SLPP as a political party where they began for talk about the president, late Ahmad Tijan Kaba. And of course, they don't apologize to Muslims in the country, and they don't apologize to the people of Sierra Leone. All right. And so, as a nation, and especially some of us when are Muslims, it ain't inside the Quran for say when your brother don't do you wrong, it don't realize say na wrong thing it don't do, and it don't take the high road for apologize for that wrong way it do, and of course, it promise say you not go do them again. Of course, your own duty as a Muslim is to forgive that person and give him a second chance. And so now that makes Sierra Leoneans, we don't decide, say, we don't forgive Pastor Victor Ajesafe. But you see, Pastor Victor Ajesafe in apology, we don't do not to the end of this story. We get for, come up with some other stuff for them for us we'll get for talk about. And so for right now, we want for Mekuna go stick around and see waiting at that apology. Of course, we'll all be don't see him, but let us see him once more. All right? So stick around with us.
Founder and General Overseer of Christ Revival Evangelistic Ministries, also known as Sanctuary Praise Church. With reference to excerpts of the audio and video clips of the sermon which I preached and went viral on various social media on or about the 25th day of September 2017. My intention was not to stir up violence or dissections, not to tear up the most cherished religious tolerance we enjoy as a nation, or to insult any person or religion. I hereby tender profuse apologies to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, and the people of Sierra Leone, the Islamic community, Sheikh Mufti Ismail Mek, the Sierra Leone People's Party, SLPP, and the Christian community based on the undermentioned points. 1. I later discovered that Sheikh Mufti Ismail Mek did not say that Sierra Leone is an Islamic country, and that the symbol of Islam is not represented by its words. 2. I have also discovered that the late ex-president, Alhaji Dr. Ahmad Yankaba, did not join Sierra Leone to OIC. I hereby further apologize to the family of the late former president and the membership of the Sierra Leone People's Party. 3. That I also misrepresented the history of Sierra Leone by saying that there is nothing like Islam in the history of Sierra Leone. I also most humbly apologize to the people of Sierra Leone for the words I used in describing us as a people. I am sent by God to this blessed nation, where I have lived, raised my family, and labored in God's vineyard for the past 27 years. I deeply love our nation, Sierra Leone, and therefore will not do or say anything that will jeopardize its peace and security. Please forgive me. Once more, I am sincerely sorry. I thank the entire body of Christ in Sierra Leone and all Christians who stood by me during these trying times. God bless the Republic of Sierra Leone. Thank you very much for your attention.
And so, like we have stated, you know, Sierra Leone being a very religious, tolerant country and made up of people who have forgiving hearts, because of the apology that he did and because of how the government managed the crisis, we decided to forgive Pastor Ajesafe. But we also recommended that he should go through some refresher courses, training on how to, he should go through some training. He should talk to a counselor. He should do certain things, to take care of that sentiment that he's maintaining about our country. But we decided to accept his apology.
We don't take from all over where they take away over 50 or 60 or 70 years for pay. And they're not explaining Sierra Leoneans and that, and then just they go ahead and do them things there. So, like you tell me, so the Sierra Leonean in general, I'll tell you this, the Sierra Leoneans, they don't turn to third-class citizen, not in country. All the developments, the way they go on, them big companies there now, you see even the banks there, Nigerian, they own them, Lebanese own them, Indian man, they own them, now Chinese don't take over now. You're not going to believe this. When you go Ibrahim, na Sierra Leone, you go really know say we Sierra Leoneans them, we don't left back, we don't be third class. You see Wilkinson Road, you go about in all them big mansions, the hotel, na foreigners that they own them. Sierra Leoneans them, they don't push them backward. You go na bank, you want take loan, you go na bid for business, they know they give you. You go now certain things them, they know they encourage you. Everything from Zenith Bank, FI Bank, all the major banks in a salon, they're owned by Nigerians. And we Sierra Leoneans them will not able. In fact, the president, one of the oldest salon government bank will go in a Rokel, they don't put them to privatization, and they want put them late person can buy them. They're not even able to sell them up to now. Like I tell you, this country bankrupt, and they use this road for fooling people. I remember vividly where some Sierra Leoneans and say, Kamarimba, no worry, not to road will they eat. We don't see the road, but not to will they eat. What will they eat? Will not get. When I say development, it starts with your belly, your stomach. Now this are the tell people.
So at this point, we started to experience that a new politician is on the horizon, and that was Mohamed Kamarimba Mansoure. He was young, very vibrant, unafraid, fearless. You know, he jumped into the political discourse. He was very afraid, and he was not afraid of the incumbent government, in as much as the incumbent APC was well known for, intimidating, people who stood up to them or perpetrating violence against them. But Mohamed Kamarimba Mansoure was not afraid at all. And he was just one of those Sierra Leoneans who decided to form new political parties in the country. Because, people were maintaining that the two predominant political parties have not been able to solve the country's problems. And so it was necessary for a new political party to start, and probably they thought was the answer, or one of them would be the answer to solving Sierra Leone's problems. So Mohamed Kamarimba was the one who actually started that journey. Hello, my family, Unakabo. Welcome to Sherix Broadcast Network, the place Usai will bring Africa live to Usai ever you day around the globe. Today, we want to take a moment for talk to Una exclusively about a kind of a political rhetoric way they go around now the Sierra Leonean community, where some of we don't take a very close look at, and if we say are not correct, and that we need for add we own 1 or 2 cents to the information when are the correct information. And so that make way we don't decide for come to Una today. And waiting at the information where we want for correct today, now this political rhetoric where they go around in plenty circles, especially among Sierra Leoneans that we don't decide say they don't want for deal with the two dominant political parties in Sierra Leone. They only want for they want for start their own political parties. They don't want for deal with the Sierra Leone People's Party and the All People's Congress, because according to them, they say from 1961, where Sierra Leone don't get independence, all the way to 2017, where they talk to Una today. That's now 56 years plus now. Then two political parties, they're not able to do anything for Sierra Leone. And so therefore, they feel say for form their own political party, now the best solution to Sierra Leone's problem. Now, we'll not deny them, because you see, Sierra Leone is a democratic country, and every Sierra Leonean get right for form in your political party and able for register and participate inside the democratic process. So now that's in fact now the beauty of democracy. We're not dispute that, we're not against them for that, but we just want for me and set the record straight. If they get for form their own political parties, then or they get for go ahead for participate in the democratic process, we want for me and do it right. We don't want me and do it in a way wherein they distort information, that they misinform the public. And so now that make way we don't take our we say for let able for really take a close look at these two political parties then from 1961 all the way to 2017 for level able for know between the APC, when are the All People's Congress, and the SLPP, when are the Sierra Leone People's Party, but then two political parties then waiting they be done they do na the country. Because all people that they talk say they are two not able for do anything, right? And so before we start this whole thing, let's take an exclusive look at some numbers and force, right? Okay, so let's look at the fact say the SLPP na a party would have been formed on April 27, 1951, 5-1, right? And then the APC na party would have been formed on July 11, 1960. So 1 year difference, 10 years difference between them, right? And so let's look at them from that perspective and then we'll move on now. So let's take a close look at numbers. When are the first time where SLPP come na power na Sierra Leone? SLPP take over the reins of governance in Sierra Leone because what you make one for start with the SLPP now because na ina be the first political party na Sierra Leone we take over the reins of governance na the country. And the time we then do that one day now between 1961 to 1967. Because until when I know say 1964, Sal Miti Magai died. Sal Miti Magai now be the first prime minister in the country. He ruled from 1961 on to 1964. He died. And when he died, the SLPP big one, they all come together and decide say, let them give the government to your small brother when I've been Sir Albert Magai, where na law in go study in London. Of course, we know say Samiti Magai study medicine, in a be doctor, medical doctor. So in brother we study law, Sir Albert Magai, then get in the country from 1964, he run until to 1967, right? So SLPP as a political party began to run the country from 1961 to 1967. So that's now 6 years, right? They run the country at that time. Now, between that 6 years, they, well, before we go to the analysis of that, now that time they then rule, and after 1967, when they called the election, where that election then have been a highly contested election between the SLPP and the APC, and in that election they began for tie, but the people that were been break that tie, they have been two, paramount chiefs. Them one Nongowa Chief Kutubu, Paramount Chief Kutubu Kasamba, and the other one at Tayama when have been Paramount Chief Ellen Brewer. Now they all two began for decide that they go vote on the side of the APC, and that will automatically make the APC became the winner in that election. But when APC become a winner in that election, they're not getting government. But anyway, SLPP in term of office being done in 1967 after that election. So from that time when I be 6 years, where SLPP ruled the country from 1961 to 1967, it not come back in power until 1996. Now SLPP take power again. And when SLPP take power in 1996, where now being President Ahmad Tijan Kaba, now be the winner in that election. A rule for 11 years. A rule up to 2007, right? That now 11 years the SLPP began for rule. So if you add 6 years to 11 years, then that's 17 years. So from 1961 to 1967, 6 years. From 1996 to 2007, 11 years. So 6 plus 11, 17 years. So from the time where Salon Donga independence all the way to the time where we talk to Una today, the SLPP as a political party don't rule Sierra Leone for 17 years, right? Okay, now let's take a look at the APC, the All People's Congress. Now, just like I would have explained, the All People's Congress began to take over the reins of governance in the country. All right, and so we thought that it was necessary for us to step in and change or to set the record straight because people were misconstruing the whole idea as to the two political parties because they would just blend the two together and put them into one category and say from 1961 to this time, Sierra Leone has been ruled by these two political parties and they have not been able to help the country. So we thought that it was not true because between the two political parties, they operate at two different, angles. And so there is one that always fixes the problem and there is one that always creates problem for the country. And so it was good that we came in to set that record straight. So we thought that it was actually necessary that we did that. And a lot of people appreciated it. It went viral. That video went viral. A lot of people watched it from all over the country. And so from that, we were able to understand that people actually learned a whole lot from that piece of work that we did. And we appreciate that.
Suspension, this and that. What you gonna do for the past 2 years? We're going to behave like an alternative government. An opposition for them, when people they respect and say, if this government not in power, so they want to have it, then they're going to perform well. But you tell me, whoever will have the back as now there, whether the stateful they in now, will fit or rule this country. If the stateful they in, it will not get unity. So some of we sit down and say, the thing when they cause problem at this party and this flag bearer business. And this is very strange, because when you look at a party not only flag bearer. A party starts right from the base, the chiefdom, the zone. It come up, it comes to constituency, it comes to district, it comes to region. The flag bearer are just the icing on the cake.
It is with a bit of a heavy heart that I now inform you that with immediate effect today, 5th September 2017, I cease to be a member of the SLPP. I will submit my letter of resignation to the chairman and leader of the party, who I have already met with. But I am not leaving alone. As you can see here with me, and many of the leaders of the party, especially the critical.
And then we saw that there was this very serious internal conflict that was going on in the Sierra Leone People's Party, which was the main opposition party in the country. And the fact remains that, you know, with all the problems that the incumbent political party was creating for the country, you know, constitutional violation, unable to competently handle the Ebola crisis, mudslide that came in the country, you know, austerity measures, people were actually suffering in the country. So Sierra Leoneans were looking for another political party that will save them from whatever they were going through. So they could not find that in the SLPP, which was the main political party, which was the other predominant political party, because there was this serious internal conflict that was going on in the SLPP as well, where, you know, one of the main contenders for the flag bearer race in the party decided to defect, decided to leave the party and form his own political party. So the issue was just becoming worse and worse and worse every day, you know. And so we know that there was this serious problem, and every Sierra Leonean knows about this, right? You guys know. Yes, Miss Salon Famulem. I want to take opportunity of this moment for express my thanks and appreciation to each and every one of you, especially who wanna the following on Sherix Broadcast Network, where wanna the watch with broadcast, and of course where wanna the send with comments them. And of course then comments they don't help with for improve, you know, on the service system. Of course, we want to take opportunity of this moment for introduce you to our brand new studio. Of course, this studio we call them the Blue Room. The Blue Room na inge for be our elections headquarters, you know. Now yes, so we get for the bring to you news, information and education pertinent to Sierra Leone. And of course, it is right from here we get for the whole discussions on key issues affecting Sierra Leone. And so one for tell all the one that we give helping hand for let we able forget the Blue Room. We want to tell now plenty thank you for donations, una contributions, we help we for able to put this studio also together. Of course, this is not the Blue Room. If you want for help we, you can go now the GoFundMe. Of course, look for Sherix Broadcast Network. Just look for gofundme.com/SB Networks Fund Support. Of course, this the Sherix Broadcast Network brand new studio, the Blue Room. Now from here, we'll get for the whole discussions. Of course, now with elections headquarters. So starting on Saturday, October 28, 2017, join me and Anne-Marie Williams for Logo Bring Come to you news, information, and education pertinent to Sierra Leone right here from the Blue Room. All right? So family, once more, we want to tell you plenty thank you for all of your support to Sherix Broadcast Network. Thank you very much.
I see them as fast class. Girl, are you in my toya? The next one me, I wanna poya. Somebody run, call a toya. Can I have a dance? Give me body, can I have a dance? Your body, can I have a dance? Your body, my friends are watching me. Your busy body, can I have a dance?
So now that we have seen that the political climate in the country is changing, people are gearing up for elections in the country. So we decided to launch a brand new studio, which was the Blue Room, for us to be able to hold discussions, to do analysis, to make calls so that we can have people joining us to discuss national issues of importance as far as the electioneering process was concerned. So we launched the Blue Room, and we also decided to launch some political ads, to create, election, promos so that we can actually send the message that we're supposed to send, so we can make the information available to Sierra Leoneans regardless of wherever they are around the globe. We did that successfully.
Monday, February 26th, not green day because SLPP got me 1 million man march. We are sure you know what I mean.
So they bring 1 million people on the streets of Freetown.
We want all members, as long as you are SLPP, once you don't reach at the age for vote, we want to let you come out that day for sure the whole world saying SLPP, they bounce back to power.
We know the Western area, the Western Urban District and the Western Rural District belong to the SLPP.
The final rally for SLPP. Now in the third world say SLPP don't win.
We want more women for join the SLPP women for promote that day. For sure the nation say now we the women in the suffer.
So it's easy for be part of the 1 million man march. What kind of green t-shirt? Because you know what we want to do? We want to turn the whole city green. Come out Monday, February 26th, green Monday.
All right, and so we also make sure say this political ad is out, so we ensure say we able for bring up updated materials inside the ads, and so that when you don't see the ad as we opening intro, that will give you an idea about what we broadcast get for day about. So we did that successfully as well, right?
We said we are going to hand over. And if Captain Strasser decides to change his mind, and I am part of that group, I was not ready to be a part. The two of you have an interest that is inimical to the interest of this nation. I will not follow you. Even if we have agreed, I will break that agreement.
One example, at one stage I thought we don't have more than $30 million just for economic development projects. To build one road alone, 1 kilometer of a road costs me nearly $1 million. To have 1 kilowatt of electricity.
I get opportunity for change. Now that's me they tell una. Una forget mine. Let nobody no hide behind tribe or something else. Then you go beg una, bell una. Una put her inside, now in pocket they full up. Somebody talk about declaration of assets. Yes, we all for commit. All of us for declare we assets.
All right, so those were the opening, the broadcast openers where we've been getting the intro into our broadcast. So every week where we come on the air, will be the updater with information. So if you happen for see that opening intro, that for don't give you an idea about waiting the broadcast get for day about. So as the time they go, we were getting organized, we were getting more professional, we will do things very, very, very much detailed. So we're able to do that as well, right? Because now we are getting into politics, that the country is getting into politics. And so we want to cover that politics properly. So we decided to bring all we gadgets together, all with software, hardware, applications, for let them do this work here for the people of Sierra Leone, right? Yes, of course, me family them today. We get for put Salon first, we get for put Salon first today. Now that's get for happen also today. We get for put Salon first. And that's what they encourage every Sierra Leoneans for do today. Of course, even we family them back home at the ground, now that's not the encouragement. We get for look into plenty things then today. Of course, waiting with national constitution say about how for elect or choose, we presidential candidate. We're going to look into that a little bit more today, because we will not say the incumbent All People's Congress, they're not normally get election for elect or for choose them presidential candidate. We want to know if waiting then they do they in violation of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, or then they in compliance with the Constitution of Sierra Leone, because the National Constitution of Sierra Leone supersedes every other constitution of the country. So if you are a political party operating in Sierra Leone, you are bound to operate under the auspices of the National Constitution. So we're going to take a look at the waiting the National Constitution say about how to choose a presidential candidate by any political party. So we started to tailor our broadcast to specific issues, like we decided to take a close look at the Constitution. What did the Constitution say about, how political parties therefore elect their presidential candidates or select, because we say there was this varying, ideas about what APC they do and what SLPP they do about their election, and even the other smaller political parties like the ADP, whenever you say other person contest against Mohammed Cameron by Mansouri, so we will be the tailor we broadcast now onto the specific issues then so that we are not only providing information to people that way they view the show, but we are at the same time educating them on some of these issues that we probably they not be understand before, and they were trying to base their education, I mean the exercising of their democratic rights on the little information they know, because they must have been a little ignorant about some of these things. So we thought that it was necessary for us to let them understand, so that was the level we had gone as a broadcasting station. So, we were a little different, even though now people were saying, oh, we think that this station is a pro-SLPP station, but they did not know that when you talk about SLPP and APC at any point, people are going to perceive you that way, because if you are talking about honest stuff, you know that there is one that is always creating problems and there is another that is always fixing the problems, So anyway, we tailored our broadcast to those specific national issues. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, just like I would tell you now, of course, the APC, that are the incumbent All People's Congress, they said Dana McKinney, right about this time, then they go through the convention. Of course, we reported down McKinney, Mr. Mohammed Kaba. Mr. Kaba will give you a quick update as well as to waiting on the happen inside McKinney today. Of course, yesterday we see the president arrived at the McKinney and plenty other APC dignitaries. And so, Mr. Mohammed Kaba, how are you doing today now, McKinney?
Yeah, plenty, thank you, sir. Family will view the television now. McKinney looks stable apparently, and of course, security. In terms of security, the police have some situation with in combination with the army forces for ensuring they put certain security structures in place. And these guys pass on a road for ensuring people's safety, and of course, they make some few road checks around. Inside the hall, we see the All People Congress Party, the APC, we do the convention started yesterday. They arrived at the delegate conference open proper, and of course we see the speaker, the senior speaker, and the president, with the also make a chairman and leader of the party. We make a lot of issues that we like to remind people of the Guardian. Say the Guardian are very much historic, especially for people that the first time for the delegate and of course for this expression when a transition period like this. We admonish and say let the focus and come together as a party. We remind ourselves as a country that the only party is the APC, that the only party that will democratically organized or conducted election. It's like some example then where the progress from the party to present day. I like some area of where they don't win some seats in the parliament, especially during the first time, when they turn into the limelight of politics and get 27 seats in the parliament, then the second time. Right, and so we, this was the time when the two main political parties, the All People's Congress, that was the incumbent political party, and the Sierra Leone People's Party, which was the main opposition political party, both political parties met on the same day. One was in the fourth largest city, which happened to have been the home of the then president of the country, Ernest Bai Koroma, and then the main opposition, Sierra Leone People's Party, met in Freetown on the same day to select and elect the presidential candidate for the APC and the SLPP respectively, right? And so we made sure that we had our correspondents live on the ground to cover the events. There was Sheikh Utanga in Freetown covering the SLPP event, and there was Mr. Mohammed Kaba in McKinney covering the APC event. So we were getting all the reports, and we were, broadcasting it to Sierra Leoneans all over the world, right?
Agree or make a pronouncement the presidential flag bearer for the APC 2018 election at Dr. Samura Kamara in the 2018 elections. Having had consultations the party don't agree or make a pronouncing the presidential flag bearer for the APC 2018 election at Dr. Samura Kamara in the 2018 election.
All right, so that was the announcement that came from the president, Ernest Bai Koroma, in those days, or at that time. Now, according to what you heard from the president, he said the party has agreed to select, so meaning that there was no election for who was going to be the presidential candidate of the APC. It was the choice of presidential candidate for that party was by selection. There was no election, no voting. So this is how people align the APC to the Chinese government, that they do things similarly, right? And so we covered that as well. Yes, my family. Of course, Rastaman confronted. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, what a big day for Sierra Leoneans. Of course, what a big day for the APC. Of course, right now we talk about nothing else but a presidential candidate that has been selected, of course, by the APC. And this is not the man who they talk about. Of course, the man who they see right there, now Dr. Samura Kamara. That's the man who has been selected to be the next presidential candidate for the APC. Of course, Dr. Samura Kamara. Of course, we don't know too much about this man. Of course, maybe not that's not in fact the reason why the president decided for choose a man like this, because we don't know much about him, right? But you know, no voting not take place in the case of this issue. In the case of the convention will take place na Makeni, na by selection, the big one inside the party, now then go gather, then discuss among themselves whether na the best person we go able for leading party. So it happened. We get Sheku on the line now. So Sheku, which partner turn SLPP and get in convention?
All right, thank you very much, Sherix. Well, actually, the SLPP convention will take place at the western part of Freetown.
Okay.
By Whitney Road.
Okay.
And a short drive off Whitney Road, and the hall where the convention will take place called Casco. Now a well-decorated hall with just a very big space outside where it will encourage a lot of crowds, and there also car park. Also people then will come park the Mosukaden with no problem. Okay. So that side they actually organize the convention.
Okay, and so where you? All right, and so my people out there, yeah, we'll continue with the documentary, but right now it's a few seconds away from going into 2019 on the East Coast of United States. So for all of our viewers on the East Coast of United States, we want to say Happy New Year to you out there. We are now on the countdown going into the new year. It's just about a few more seconds. So we want to actually take this moment to say Happy New Year to you guys on the East Coast of United States, just as we did to people in Sierra Leone. Happy New Year to all of you in Sierra Leone. We, we want to say that we wish you all the best of everything in the new year. Of course, in 2019, we wish you all the best. We wish you God's blessing. We wish you protection. We wish you guidance. We wish you all the good things that you wish for yourselves. So here in the central, U.S. Central, in Texas, all the way to Minnesota, we still have 1 more hour to go before we go into 2019. So, but we just wanted to let you know about that. But anyway, going back to the documentary, so that was what we were able to do at that point, to be able to provide coverage for both the APC and the SLPP. The SLPP, they were still going through the democratic process at that time, right? In Freetown. So, so now we started to see that the political campaign is heating up. The SLPP is amassing this national populace, is amassing the crowd. People are loving the SLPP and the presidential candidate Julius Maada Bio. That kind of thing is going on a whole lot. And of course, with the help of social media and everything, we were able to cover that election as well.
First of all, the chairman called Mr. You and your entourage.
So all the supporters, when they conduct themselves for a peaceful election, it not mean say you not go campaign to post it within another party. You can campaign to them, but let it go be peaceful, and when they go for declare campaign.
You know, say we let you, no matter how it be. You know, say we always support you number one. Samsumana, hey, Robo Samsumana, hey, Robo Tifosi, hey, Robo Samsumana, hey.
You see for me, I see for you. See for see.
As a government, we don't try. As a party, we don't try. It don't time for make the politics come. And you know, say the talk is cheap. Everybody can talk what you want to talk. No, so people in the car now, they say that the time is for change. People in the camp, they say this is the time for a new direction. APC, as you know, na bad government they always make.
APC not good for this country, they're not good for themselves. So on March, we got to make sure say APC go, not so. APC that they bring Ebola, no so. APC that they don't make anti-young kind of this country, no so. One country, one country, one country, one people. Where APC go, the only other party, the mother of all parties, the Comrade Party, the party will bring independence, the party will bring peace, the party will bring democracy, the Comrade Party, the Sierra Leone People's Party, and the conduct.
All right, and so the campaign was now hitting up very seriously. You know, every political party, especially the two main political parties, they were really like going after each other. They were going after each other, and the party was, the campaign was hitting up very seriously. We went all the way to election day, and so we were there still, you know. Before we actually go to the lines directly, we want for you know, bring you some videos of some of the things that we will be done the witness today, you know, as a broadcast network, some of the, you know, the unfortunate things that will happen on this day today, just for make you go, you know, see for yourself as to waiting at some of the things that will happen. I mean, you see, we talk to the, you know, the superintendent of police, when at the PRO, it talks to the police, then get for make sure say everything go fine, you know, people then get the right for me then go vote, and that they never go for intimidate. But then we see plenty of things that happen today. So we get for bring some of them videos then to you half and half, and of course before we start for take calls them right about this time. So one for me see this one first as the first one ever.
This is my government vehicle now. They front me. Look, I'm recover the number plates, and they use them for transport people. Those villages. SI.
No, Kagbane.
How you call it? Huh?
Kagbane.
A Kagbane village?
Yeah, not just Kano. Not make like this number, you just Kano.
Yeah, then cover a government vehicle, then they use them for transport people. See how people flop? They're not supposed to get past 5 people in a motor car. They're not supposed at all. Yeah. Over 15 people encountered the motor car. This is my government vehicle now. They front me.
All right, so my family, that's now one of the videos that we'll be get forget. Of course, you will not say today, no motor car, especially government vehicle. According to the police PRO talk to, even government motor car not be supposed for day on the streets today. And not only that, why you dey drive motor car, you dey cover the license plate? Why are you doing that? You only do that because you get something where you do where you're not supposed to do. You are doing something that is wrong. You know, and so the license plates then cover and then put up to 15 people inside the motor car, then go drop them up in a polling station for me them vote. They were not supposed to do that. Now, we cannot say that was a government vehicle, you know, but the only thing we know, say, in Sierra Leone, there are specific vehicles where not only government can get them kind of vehicle and they, no other person, you know, they drive them kind of vehicle and they, so when people then see them, then they know, say, this is not government motor car. But the license plate covered. Now, it is a crime. What to make that they put license plates panel numbers then they now because of identity, because of identification. So for letting you cover your means you are actually violating the laws with impunity. And so when we don't see any police arrest motor car like that kind of day, where they say they put a lot of checkpoints in the country, you know, especially in the provinces. I don't know if they do them on all sides of the country, but now that's not the thing will happen. And then now we get this other video.
Ali Kaba, the chairman of the SLPP National Campaign Committee. I want the world to know that we are under attack right now. Our next president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, the retired Brigadier Julius Maada, is at home here in the office here, where we are trying very hard to relax and monitor the elections like any normal democracy. And we saw a first wave of police coming in without a warrant, threatening to enter into the house, where we're using a space, a situation room, to just talk about how things are going, getting phone calls, etc. And they promised that they did not have a warrant, and so they went back with reinforcement, back again with more helmet and armed police coming to attack the place, the small space that we are using to simply talk about how we are going to win this election. This is so outrightly wrong. It is one more indication of the unwillingness of this APC government to accept a simple democratic process. This is election day. Why are you attacking or intimidating the presidential candidate of the Sierra Leone People's Party? They know damn well that they are losing this election. They have lost the mandate of the people, and they know very well that within the next few hours it will be over. So they are trying very hard to create chaos in Sierra Leone, because that is the only chip they have now to play with. So I want the world to know that the APC government is a threat to democracy in Sierra Leone.
Happen today where we need for no, because my point is waiting specifically the presidential candidate of the SLPP do, or in campaign team do, where me say police them for storm the area. I mean, I don't know if an intelligence report they get for say they want to do something or they don't want to do something, but even so, you know, on election day, these were some of the reports that were coming in. You know, after that was after the very first voting before the runoff, that police was intimidating the presidential candidate of the main opposition political party, because according to everything, the counts that were coming in, that the opposition was winning the election. And so the police decided to intimidate, go to his house without a warrant, and they had to go back to get more reinforcement and more to get warrant before they can actually come to search the home of Julius Maada. So you know, other thing, I mean, skirmishes were happening in the provinces, like in Lunsa. People were fighting against each other. There were issues of ballot stuffing and all of this, you know, but the incidences that happened were not to that climax or to that level where the election could be annulled. It was just minor stuff that was taking place all over the place. But that was exactly what happened on election day in Sierra Leone, and we were there as well to cover it.
Thank you, Albert Masako. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, electoral commissioners, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Statement from NEC Chairperson and National Returning Officer on the results of the presidential election runoff held on 31st March 2018. In exercise of the powers conferred upon it by Section 38 subsection 8 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991, Act No. 6 of 1991, and Section 70 subsection 1 of the Public Elections Act 2012, Act No. 4 of 2012, the National Electoral Commission successfully conducted a presidential election runoff in Sierra Leone on 31st March 2018. Pursuant to Section 42, subsection 2, E and the F of the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991. Both the polls and tallying processes were observed by political parties, agents, various national and international observation missions of groups, embassies, and the media.
So the chairman of the National Electoral Commission, Mr. Mohammed Infali Conte, went ahead and announced the results of the runoff election, because there was runoff. So according to the electoral laws of Sierra Leone, a candidate has to have 55% and above for that candidate to be declared as the president of Sierra Leone. If no candidate got that percentage, then there will be a need for runoff. And so that's what happened in Sierra Leone. There was a runoff, and that's the result of the runoff, where President Julius Maada Bio, who is now president of the country, from the former main opposition party, which is the Sierra Leone People's Party, actually won the election, and he was given an oath of office.
Subsection 5 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, Act number 6 of 1991, I now have the honor and privilege to invite you to take the oath of office as President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. I, William Maada Bio, do hereby, in the name of God, swear that I will at all times well and truly discharge the duties of the office of the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone according to law, that I will preserve, support, uphold, maintain, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Sierra Leone as by law established, and that I will do right to all manners of people according to law, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So help me God.
Right, so President Julius Maada Bio took an oath of office, and he was now officially the president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, we have been on this journey together with you. We have been on this journey together with our viewers. Your comments, your suggestions, your questions, everything that you contributed throughout the year helped us all the way to this level. So we really want to take opportunity of this moment, going into this new year, to express our thanks and appreciation to all of you for your contributions, for your comments, for everything that you did to bring us to where we are. I think, you know, just like I was interviewed at the beginning of this broadcast, and my goal for establishing a radio and television program online has been achieved, because I wanted to see what I can do for my country, what I can do for Sierra Leone or for people from my community what I could do to, you know, for my people of my community. And I want to say a lot of thanks to myself for everything that I have done all the way to this time. You know, establishing the broadcasting network and, you know, the things that we have been doing on this network. You know, I just want to say a lot of thanks to each and every one of you out there for your help, for your assistance, for everything that you've been doing. So this is how we are going to come to the end of this broadcast today. We wanted to take a reflection on what we have done so far in the past years. And so we cannot finish this broadcast without expressing thanks and appreciation to the team, the Sherix team. We want to start with Ms. Lavinia Bobstead, who is chairman for the board. When we started, most of the gadgets we use in our studio, she actually donated those gadgets. Ms. Lavinia Bobstead, we want to say a lot of thanks to you for everything that you've done for Sherix Broadcast Network. Of course, we want to also say thanks to Ms. Iyamide Etline Finney for anchoring our news, for doing the different things that you always do for Sherix Broadcast Network. And of course, to Mr. Sheku Tanga, who is our senior national reporter for Southeastern Sierra Leone. Thank you very much for everything. And to Mr. Mohamed Kaba, who is the senior national reporter for Northwestern Sierra Leone. Thank you very much for everything. And to all of you, I wish you a happy and prosperous new year. I wish you good health. I wish you all the good things that you wish for yourselves. I hope that this new year coming will be a good year for you and for your loved ones, and that you know, you will live in peace with each other. We want to assure you that it is necessary for us to continue to do what we do best, so that we can continue to provide services for our people. For this new year, somebody sent me something that I would like to share with all of you, that there are 7 prayers that are very important in 2019. And they are: may your health improve, may your finances multiply, may your worries disappear, may your pain be less, may your plans work, may you live long, may 2019 bring healings and blessing and miracles. So those are the prayers we would like to offer for you today, and that's what you should be praying for in the new year. So once more, I am Ibrahim Sharif, and I want to say a lot of thanks to all of you for everything that you've been doing. And once more, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. This is how we are definitely going to come to the end of this broadcast today. We do hope that you will live long to see the coming next year again, and that you will celebrate these years with happiness and good health. And don't forget about what Dr. Martin Madasalia said, that whatever corner you find yourself in, what are you doing in that corner to brighten that corner? If you are a teacher, an engineer, a lawyer, judge, politician, you know, a petty trader, you know, whatever you are doing in your life, whatever corner you find yourself, what are you doing in that corner to uplift Sierra Leone? That's the question we are going with into the new year, and our resolution in this year is to provide an answer to that question. So once more, I want to say a lot of thanks. All right?
was really talented. He's a doctor with a difference. Yes, it's going to take some time to bring the hospital back to its glorious days. It's going to take some time.
Oh, the late Dr. Martin Saliame is so rest in perfect peace. He had passion for the job. He wanted this hospital to be the best in this country. He wanted to be see this hospital as the center of excellence in this country.
We need to check each and every individual, what you are doing. What are you offering in your own small corner that you could brighten that corner? How are you contributing in one way or the other to promote this place?
He is the kind of person, even a porter that is working in his office, sometimes he will tell the porter, go and bring me the broom today, I'm going to sweep.
But if the public didn't appreciate that whenever somebody has this kind of presentation, they should come. Because don't forget, by the time you have one contracting the disease, people going to take care of a dead. Avoiding, hiding, taking care of that dead. Don't forget, by the time people are dead with the Ebola, they are more infectious than all. So if they take care of their burial or their own, 10 more will be infected.
City boys, them a come from my area, calamity. City boys, them a come from my area. Them a come, they want some from my area. City boys, them a come from my area. Them a come, they want some from my area. City boys, them a come from my area. Them a come, they want some from my area. City boys, them a come from my area. Them a come, they want some from my area. A beautiful girl from the ghetto, African beauty they know so. Salon girl up to the highest levels. All the boys say they want it. I see different they know this. Anytime I walk by them I know this. 30 billion not gonna chop me. All the boys want go naughty. See on them up they want die yo. Come and matter they want kilo. My green light make them bongo. My green light make them bongo. I be the mama where they sign them. Them a sing him anthem. I shall see Kayana Zaya.
Who got the key to your license? Who got the key to your license? Now that make you feeling terrorizing. Now that make you feeling idealizing. Yeah. Ooh. I am an African king. You are an African lady. I am an African king because I got the African thing to make you go legit. I come out like a vigilante. Blow your place like a dynamite. Breaking your gates is my priority. So baby, bring it down your security. Baby, I'm a good geezer. I could be a very good teacher. When I go to like to say Caesar. So baby, bring it down your security. I look up.
City boys, them a come from my area. Them a come, they want some from my area. City boys, them a come from my area. Them a come, they want some from my area. In the way, how they see them in the head, oh. They wanna come knock from my ghetto. For me, I know they open my ghetto. Cause my ghetto, that's my ghetto.
Any kind of way I go up on your ghetto, baby, you not fit on that ghetto. Cause my money not the hammer for your ghetto. Cause I get fit, I get fit. I look up.